This is First and Last.
The biggest thing about First and Last is it's nice food for nice people. We serve food seasonally. We change the menu every week. And the weather here in Arizona kind of tells you what to eat. We always have 3 to 4 pastas that we love and work very hard towards keeping those seasonal. We have steaks, we have chicken, ribs, quail, salads, appetizers, and some crudos. The best dish that would describe me, I would say, is our tuna tartare. It's our signature dish, almost like a Niçoise salad. It's a lot of different paths and places I've pulled from all of it to make that dish. And it's still on the menu because it's the best thing I've done since I've been here. I would say the space is something that you really have to be here to understand. People come in and say, oh, I didn't know that Phoenix had buildings like this. And thank goodness it does still. We have a small patio and we have what was considered our main dining on the main floor. And that includes the bar and kind of a long shotgun environment. But also we have an upstairs, what we call the basket, that has these beautiful stairs that really you can sit over top of the restaurant and look down. And we see all kinds of people that enjoy that space. First and Last is named from my wife and I. We were a young, in love couple, which we still are. We used to text each other because I always told her that she was the first thing I thought of when I woke up in the morning and the last thing I thought of when I went to bed. So we used to text First and Last. But it's also this place. This will always be, no matter if we open other restaurants or what, this will always be my restaurant. This will always be that matters.
So Brett, there's so many restaurants downtown. Why did you pick First and Last?
My wife and I walk through that neighborhood all the time off Roosevelt, and we saw them. We met the husband and wife chefs and basically put a countdown clock on our calendar that for the grand opening we were going to be there.
I'm blown away by this talent that's in this kitchen. So what do you like to have when you go there? What do you start with?
Well, what's so neat about it is the menu changes so often. So you can't go in there and have the same meal month after month after month. And it makes a regular place a new adventure all the time. This last stop we had the tomato tartane. Pastry was so flaky. I mean, you would take a bite of it and you could just feel it melting in your mouth. And a touch of spice to it.
Yeah.
So it had this flavor. It didn't burn your mouth by any stretch of the imagination, but it had that pepper and just a little something to it that made it so enjoyable.
Tomato tartine.
Yes.
So Brittany, what did you have when you started?
My husband came and it was actually my birthday.
Oh,
so we
boy.
went on my birthday.
Belated happy birthday.
Yes, thank you. And we started off with the jalapeno cheddar cornbread, which was really good.
So buttery.
It was.
That whipped butter with it.
Very buttery, very just sweet, and had a hint of spice, but not a lot. It was really good.
And what did you have when you started, Janet?
Yeah, so I also had the jalapeno cornbread, and that was amazing. It was moist. It was, I mean, that we could have made a meal just by that, you know, with that alone. Moist, and yeah, the butter. Oh yeah, I mean, we could have just eaten the butter. I mean, forget about the cornbread. We could. I mean, it was just really, really, very good. We also had something else that was really unique. We had this peaches and burrata.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting. I had never had that before, but it was something that was smoked that was on top of it, and it was just different flavors that were in there. It was just really, very, very good.
And in so many restaurants like this, I mean, you guys talked about the portions. I mean, you get real portions at a chef-driven restaurant like this, where the appetizers could be a meal. It's amazing, because usually you have like 1 bite, 2 bite, and then it's like, okay. But this was like incredible appetizers.
Okay, Brent, center of the plate, entrees. What did you have?
They had just changed the menu, and they just added ribs. And I was like, oh, I haven't had good ribs in a couple of days. So I had to go and try the ribs, and they were out of this world.
You know, if someone's bold enough to put ribs on a
Absolutely.
restaurant, especially the style and class of that restaurant, amazing.
And they fell right off the bone. I mean, it was like just so tender.
Janet, you had the lobster puttanesca, didn't you?
Yes, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was, you can, and I don't eat a lot, so I ended up taking some of that home as well, and it was still crisp. I mean, you can crunch on the lobster, and it was just, it popped. It was great. It was just, it was such good flavors. Yeah.
I actually had the same thing. A spicy lobster puttanesca, a lot of lobster, a lot of vegetables, and it was really, I echo the sentiments. The pasta seemed really fresh, like they make their own pasta
Yes.
there. But it wasn't very spicy. I thought it was going to be a lot spicier, but it wasn't very spicy, but it was really good.
It can be bold, that's
Yeah.
another way. It doesn't have to be spicy like in a traditional Southwestern. It's usually more of a big, bold flavor. It's not so much, Southwest heat.
But delicious. Everybody at my table had some of mine.
All right, desserts. We're going to jump right in. Brett, your place?
Desserts, we had the creme caramel. It's so smooth. You get the caramel flavor in there. And other restaurants use the creme brulee with that crispy top. This is just soft and buttery and keeps me in shape.
The other. I love creme caramel. So, what did you have, Brittany?
Well, since it was my birthday,
Okay.
the waiters brought me out a tiramisu
Yeah.
that was on the menu. And while I really love tiramisu, I could taste a lot of darker chocolate, maybe.
So it had a bitterness
It
to
had
it?
a very strong
Okay.
bitterness to it. So I would say it wasn't my favorite, but we still ate it, and
Yeah.
it was great to have it on my birthday.
Well, interestingly enough, chocolate historically has always been a bitter profile. And also that has coffee, which has bitterness too. So it could have been the chocolate on
true.
top. Janet, what did you have?
We didn't have any dessert because we were just
You were
stuffed over
That
to
was
eat.
it?
Yeah.
Your dessert was the cocktails. They have a great cocktail program, really clever. Yeah, Brett, what did you have?
Well, we had two different cocktails. We had the Jets on Jupiter and also the Lady Liz. And the Lady Liz is a gin-based drink, and the Jets on Jupiter was bourbon, which is my personal favorite.
I'm not a big drinker,
Okay.
but I did have a mocktail, actually. They were able to make me a mocktail. Both my husband and I had the Peachy Keen mocktail, and it had very, very peachy, but you could taste the spritz, and then they had some peach bites in there.
Oh, little chunks.
Actual chunks of peach.
So-
It was actually really good.
Now it's time for final takeaways and pro tips. So it can be one sentence, one word, and it's your restaurant, Brett. What do you have for us?
I say work with your servers and bartenders there because they will craft an experience for you. If you tell them what you're having for dinner, they're going to suggest a wine, a drink, and they know what they're talking about. They pair things phenomenally.
Just stay with the appetizer. You can probably get 4 different appetizers, be full, and get a chance to sample all these different things.
So-
I would say make a reservation because it is tiny and there are a lot of people that frequent it. So make a reservation and you'll be just fine.
Cool. If you want to try First and Last, they're located near 3rd Avenue in Roosevelt. The average meal costs $55 and they do take reservations.